Hello students, hope you all are fine. In this video, we will study the chapter democracy, that is the most popular form of government. The topics that we would be covering in this chapter are what does democracy mean, tracing the roots of democracy, freedom and democracy, other forms of government, features of democracy, and issue of equality in other countries. Now, what does democracy mean? The term democracy is derived from the two Greek words demos, meaning people, and kratos, meaning rule or government. Thus, the true essence of a democracy is the rule of people or their representatives. In a democracy, people have the power to elect their leaders. Thus, they participate in the process of governance directly or through their elected representatives. Now, tracing the roots of democracy. Democracy as we know today is significantly different from its original form. It has evolved through the ages and underwent many changes and transformations. Now, around 6th century BCE, India witnessed an early form of democracy in the form of small states called the Mahajanapadas. About the Mahajanapadas, you will be studying in the later chapters. While most of these states were ruled by a king, some states were ruled by representatives of clans, that is, group of people. These representatives governed the state through various assemblies like Gana and Sangha. Now, according to ancient sources, Vajji had a republican form of government. Vaishali, which is in modern Bihar, was the capital of Vajji. You can see the picture of Vaishali. It was world's first republic. It's in modern Bihar. Now, if we consider the Western world, ancient Greece witnessed the first democracy. In Greece, the city of Athens witnessed democracy where all the adult male population of the city formed a body called the assembly and participated in the decision-making process directly. It was called the direct democracy and the assembly. The direct democracy where large number of citizens helped to make all the decisions, and there was the assembly, voted on laws, elected leaders, tried legal cases. It was the Athenian democracy, earliest form of democratic government in Greece. Now I will discuss with you the three most important events that shaped the history of modern democracy. First one was the introduction of Magna Carta in Britain by a group of 13th century nobles. Now in Britain, the nobles who assisted the king introduced a document called the Magna Carta. That is, it limited the power of the kings. It was written by a group of nobles in the 13th century to protect their rights and property against the monarchy. The second most important event was the American War of Independence. The British colonies in North America declared themselves independent from Britain in 1776. and they adopted a democratic constitution in 1787. Now, the new government of USA adopted the Bill of Rights, which granted civil rights to the citizens. The third important event was the French Revolution. So, after the American War of Independence in 1776, happened yet another very important event. It was the French Revolution in 1789. It took inspiration from British colonies. There was a revolution in France which transferred power from the kings and nobles to the common people. This led to the establishment of the French Republic based on the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity. You can see the pictures in this slide. You can see the Book of Rules, Magna Carta. You can see the picture of American Revolution, 1776, and also a picture of French Revolution. Now we come to the next topic, that is freedom and democracy. Now, most countries of Asia and Africa had been colonies of European powers such as Britain, France, Italy, Holland, Germany. These colonies waged long struggles for freedom from foreign rule. After achieving independence, most of these Asian and African countries adopted a democratic form of government. India became free from British rule in 1947. You all know that. In 1991, the Soviet Union disintegrated into 15 republics. Before this, they were integrated together and they were known as USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic. Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar also adopted democracy, the democratic form of government, after achieving independence. Now, we will discuss the different types of government. So, other than democracy, there are other types of government like monarchy, dictatorship, communism. One by one, we will discuss these forms of government. First, we come to monarchy. The monarchy can again broadly be categorized into two: absolute monarchy and constitutional monarchy. Now, what is absolute monarchy? An absolute monarchy is a system where the ruler or monarch has the power to do anything he wants to. There are no rules that he has to follow. He or she is not restricted by a constitution or any kind of laws. A monarchy is generally hereditary and the monarch's children inherit his position. The welfare of the people is in the hands of the monarch ruling them. Now we come to constitutional monarchy. Constitutional monarchy is a system where the powers of the monarch are defined and limited by law. Britain has a system of constitutional monarchy. Here the king or queen is the nominal head and the administration is carried on by the prime minister and the cabinet. The people elect the prime minister and other representatives. Now we come to the next form of government, that is dictatorship. In a dictatorship, citizens are ruled by force and the government does not have to explain its policies to the people. Germany was under the dictatorship of Adolf Hitler for more than a decade during the Second World War. Similarly, Italy was under Benito Mussolini's rule. In a dictatorship, there is absolute rule by a single person who is known as the dictator. Another type of dictatorship you have, which we call it military dictatorship. Now, a military dictatorship is a form of government where political power resides with the military. This form of government is generally headed by a dictator. The dictator seizes power from the ruling party or leader in a military coup, does not allow elections to take place, and bans all opposition parties. Next is communism, another form of government. A communist government is a system of government which is ruled by a single party. This political party follows communist ideas as the guiding principles of the state. A communist state believes that the poor and the working class have been exploited for years by the ruling class. They therefore want to create a classless society in which the production and distribution of goods would be equal for everyone. They do not believe in rich or poor. China has a communist form of government. Now, there are 5 core types of political systems. Representative democracy, example is United States. Our country is also an example of representative democracy. That is, we elect our leaders who administer the nation on behalf of us, that is, on behalf of the common people. Direct democracy was a very ancient practice. It was practiced in ancient Greece. That time the population was few, population was less, so it was possible. But with increasing population, direct democracy is not possible. Everyone cannot become a leader. So that is why we elect leaders from the common people who administer the nation on behalf of the common people. That is called representative democracy. Monarchy is another form of government which prevails in Saudi Arabia. Constitutional monarchy prevails in UK. And dictatorship prevails in North Korea. Now we would discuss the features of democracy. In a democracy, the final decision-making power must rest with those who elected by the people. These are the main thrusts of democracy. A democracy must be based on a free and fair election where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. And this happened many times in India. That is, when the Lok Sabha elections were held, the political party, the majority political party which was ruling, in an election they lost the majority votes and other political parties came into power. So this is the success of democracy. In a democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. A democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' rights. That is, the government is not free to act irrationally. The citizens and the government have to follow certain basic rules. And these rules and laws are written down according to which a country is governed. A compilation of written rules is called a constitution. And a constitution is above everyone in a country. And the importance of a constitution is more significant in a democratic country like India. Constitution gives certain rights to the citizens which ensure that government cannot misuse its power. the opposition parties are allowed to function freely before and after the elections. That is, the opposition parties have the power to raise their voice, they have the right of expression, and they can freely express their problems and try to solve the problems for the benefit of the common people. The democratic governments are based on fundamental principles of political equality. Equality is one of the most important elements of democracy. It implies equal status, equal opportunities for all. The Indian Constitution states that the government shall not deny equality before law to any citizen. This means that the law shall apply equally to all in the same manner, irrespective of caste, sex, race, or religion. In a democracy, irrespective of whichever party comes to power or whoever heads the administration, rules have to be made in accordance with the law written in the Constitution. These are called the basic laws. The idea of equality is based on the principle of rule of law. The rule of law means that every person in the country, from the president to a farmer, is bound by the same laws and given the same treatment. Now we come to the next topic, that is issue of equality in other countries. Various forms of inequality still exists in many countries over the world. In the United States of America, the African Americans were subjected to gross inequalities. After a long struggle and agitation against the unequal laws and practices led by the leaders such as Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr., the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964. According to this act, discrimination on the basis of race, religion, or nationality was prohibited. Martin Luther King Jr. received the Nobel Peace Prize for leading the civil rights movement, that is, the agitation against unequal laws and practices that began in USA in the 1950s. You can see the picture of Martin Luther, the great leader. Apartheid is another form of inequality where people face discrimination on the basis of their skin color. Nelson Mandela led a lifelong struggle against this practice in South Africa. You can see the picture of Nelson Mandela. He fought a lot against this apartheid form of inequality in South Africa. Hope you have understood the lesson, students. If you have any problem, please revert. Thank you.